Mr. Harris at you once again with more Math Jewels. All right. Now, today we're going to be talking about measures of central tendency, also known as measures of spread. But basically what these things are going to describe is it's going to take a large data set, and we use these measures of central tendency to make a generalization about all the numbers in the data set. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We have this set of data, and once again you can collect the data however you want. Sometimes the data is collected from surveys. In many cases, depending on the level of the mathematics that you're doing, the data set was going to be given to you already. So we have 54, we have 51, 56, 55, 54, and 58. We also have 54 again, 59, 53, 57, 55, 53, and 52, 66, and 57. So these are the numbers in our data set. Now, once again, many times when you are finding the measures of central tendency, you reorder the numbers from least to greatest. And you're going to see why in just a minute. So I'm going to reorder these numbers, and we're going to start with 51. Then we go to 52, 53, 53, 54, 54, 54. Then we have 55, 55 again, 56, 57, 57, 58, 59, and 66. All right, let's make sure we have all 15 of them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. So these are all of our numbers written from least to greatest. All right, now we're going to find the measures of central tendency. Okay, so the most commonly used ones are the ones that we're going to talk about today. So probably the most commonly used measure of central tendency is the mean or the average. Okay, so the mean, when we find the mean or average of a set of numbers, we're going to add all of the numbers in the data set up, find the sum of all the numbers. So we're going to add all these numbers up, and when we find the sum of those numbers, we'll get 834. And then we're going to divide it by however many numbers are in the data set. In this case, there's 15 numbers in the data set, so we'll take 834 and divide it by 15, and that is going to give us 55.6. All right, so our mean of this data set is 55.6. Now, depending on what your instructions are or what kind of scenario you're dealing with, you may round that number off to a whole number, or you may round it off to a certain number of decimal places. That is on a case-by-case basis, okay? So we have the mean. Next, we want to find the median. Now, the median number is the middle number. Now, median is a little different because the median is not always a number that's actually in the data set. So in this case, we have an odd number of elements in the data set. What I mean by elements is however many numbers there are in the data set. In this case, there's 15, so there will be one number exactly in the middle. So the 8th number in this case is exactly in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 55 is going to be our median. Okay, now another way that they teach median on the lower levels is they teach the children to order the numbers from least to greatest, and then start by marking off a number from the front end and then one at the back end, and continue doing that like so. Until you are left with one number to circle. Okay, so this in the lower levels, and for some kids that are visual, this is the best way to find the median. It doesn't matter what level you're at and how old you are. This is a very simple way to find the median. Order the numbers from least to greatest and cross out a number on the front end in the back end until you're left with one number. Now, in the event that you're left with two numbers, you're going to find the mean of those two numbers. Okay, so you would take those two numbers, add them up, and divide them by 2. All right, next we have the mode of the data set. Now, the mode is the number that occurs the most. And in this case, as we can see, 53 occurs twice, 54 occurs 3 times. So in this case, 54 is the mode because it's the number that occurs the most in the data set. Now, you may have cases where there can be more than one mode. If there was another number, if there are two numbers that occur the most frequently, then you would have 2 modes, okay? And then you have the range, okay? The range is the largest number minus the smallest number. And in this case, we have 66 minus 51, which equals 15. So the range of numbers, or the range of the data set in this case, is 15. We take the largest number minus the smallest number. And one last measure of central tendency that we can talk about a lot of time is the outlier. Okay, now the outlier is a number that's kind of far off from the rest of the elements of the data set. And in this case, as you can see, all of these numbers are within the 50s. Then we have 66. So 66 would be an outlier. Now notice 66 is 7 units away from its closest number, whereas 51, the smallest number, is only 1 unit away from its next smallest number. So 66 is an outlier. And you'll notice, depending on the scenario, outliers come in different forms. They can be on the low end of the data set. They can be on the high end of the data set. So those are your measures of central tendency. Young Guru's Math Tutoring. I've got the solution to your math problems.